The buzzing of Jade Parker's phone at 8 a.m. on a Saturday was not how she wanted to start her weekend. Groaning, she reached for the device, expecting it to be work-related. Running her own small graphic design business meant she was perpetually on call, but instead, she found a text message from a number she didn't recognize. "Hey Jade, it's Hayden Scott. We met at that charity thing last month. Alex's brother, wondering if you'd like to join our game night tonight. Alex mentioned you've been working too hard and could use some fun. 8 p.m. at my place. Address below. Let me know." Jade sat up in bed, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Alex Scott was one of her newer clients, a tech entrepreneur who had hired her to redesign his company's branding. They'd developed a friendly rapport over the past few months, but she hadn't expected him to talk about her to his family. She vaguely remembered meeting his brother Hayden at a charity auction where Alex had introduced them briefly. Hayden had been charming, with the same dark hair and bright smile as Alex, though slightly taller and more athletic-looking. Her first instinct was to decline. Game night with a group of strangers, most likely Alex's wealthy friends. It sounded like a recipe for awkwardness. But then again, when was the last time she'd done anything other than work? Alex was right, she had been working too hard lately. Before she could overthink it, Jade texted back, "Sounds fun, I'll be there. Thanks for the invite." As soon as she hit send, anxiety fluttered in her stomach. What had she just agreed to? She didn't even know who else would be there, what kind of games, what should she wear. Was this some kind of setup? Alex had never shown romantic interest in her, but maybe his brother. "Stop it," she muttered to herself, tossing her phone aside and heading for the shower. It's just game night, not everything is a plot twist in a romance novel. Several hours later, Jade stood outside an impressive brownstone in one of the city's most exclusive neighborhoods. She checked the address again, then glanced down at her outfit: dark jeans, a soft green sweater, and ankle boots. Casual but put together, she hoped. In one hand, she clutched a bottle of wine, in the other, her phone with Hayden's address. Taking a deep breath, she rang the doorbell. The door swung open almost immediately, revealing Hayden Scott in jeans and a blue button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His dark hair was artfully tousled, and his grin was infectious. "Jade, you made it. Come on in." He stepped back, gesturing her inside. The apartment was stunning: high ceilings, exposed brick, modern furniture that somehow looked both expensive and comfortable. Music played softly in the background, and the sound of laughter came from another room. "Everyone's in the living room," Hayden said, taking the wine from her. "Thanks for this. Let me introduce you around." Jade followed him through the apartment, trying not to gawk at the artwork on the walls. Was that an original Basquiat? Until they reached a large, open living space where several people were gathered around a massive coffee table strewn with board games. "Everyone, this is Jade Parker, Alex's friend," Hayden announced. "Jade, you know Alex, of course." Alex waved from his spot on the couch. "Good to see you outside of work, Jade." "And this is Mia, Alex's girlfriend," Hayden continued, indicating a beautiful woman with curly hair sitting next to Alex. "That's Ethan and his wife Sophia on the love seat, and over there is Hunter," a deep voice said. Jade turned toward the voice, and her breath caught in her throat. Standing by the window was possibly the most attractive man she'd ever seen in real life. Tall, broad-shouldered, with warm brown skin and closely cropped dark hair, he moved toward her with an athlete's grace. His eyes, a startling amber color, met hers directly as he extended his hand. "Hunter Sullivan. Alex and I went to business school together." His handshake was firm, his hand warm and slightly calloused, not the smooth grip she'd expected from a businessman. When their hands touched, Jade felt a peculiar jolt of awareness travel up her arm. She withdrew her hand quickly, hoping her face wasn't as flushed as it felt. "Nice to meet you," she managed. "Hunter's the one who insisted on game night," Alex called out. "He's ridiculously competitive." Hunter shrugged, his mouth quirking into a half-smile. "I prefer passionate about winning." "He's being modest," Hayden said, returning with a glass of wine for Jade. Hunter owns the largest shipping company on the East Coast. When he says he likes to win, he means in everything. Jade nearly choked on her first sip of wine, a shipping magnate. She'd expected Alex's friends to be wealthy, but this was another level. "Don't scare her off before the games even start," Hunter said to Hayden, his eyes still on Jade. "So what's your poison? Monopoly, Scrabble, Risk?" "Careful answering that," Alex warned with a laugh. "He'll use it against you later," Jade smiled, relaxing slightly. "I'm pretty terrible at all board games, to be honest. I'm more of a card player." Hunter's eyes lit up. "Poker? God no, I have the world's worst poker face. I was thinking more along the lines of Uno." Everyone laughed, and Jade felt the tension in her shoulders ease. Maybe this wouldn't be so awkward after all. "Uno it is," Hayden declared, pulling a deck from the stack of games. "But fair warning, Hunter's competitive streak extends to children's card games too." As they settled around the table, Jade found herself seated directly across from Hunter. Throughout the first few rounds of Uno, she caught him watching her several times. Not in a creepy way, but with an intensity that made her hyper-aware of every move she made. When she successfully played a draw 4 card against him, his surprised laugh, deep and genuine, made something warm bloom in her chest. "Didn't see that coming," he admitted, picking up his cards. "You're more strategic than you let on. Or lucky," she countered. "I don't believe in luck," he said, his gaze direct. "Just preparation and opportunity." The evening progressed through several games. Uno gave way to Pictionary, where Jade's artistic skills gave her team an unfair advantage, then to a raucous round of charades. By midnight, they had moved on to a team trivia game, and Jade found herself paired with Hunter. Their combined knowledge, his on history and geography, hers on arts and literature, made them nearly unbeatable. "Final question," Hayden announced, reading from a card. "What famous painting features a woman with an enigmatic smile?" "Mona Lisa?" Hunter and Jade said simultaneously, then looked at each other and laughed. "Correct," Hayden sighed. "That's game point to Team Unstoppable." As everyone began helping to clean up, Hunter appeared at Jade's side with 2 beers. "Victory drink?" he offered, holding one out. "Thanks," she said, accepting it. "Though I think our win was mostly due to that softball question at the end." "I'll take it however it comes," he said, clinking his bottle against hers. He leaned against the kitchen counter, regarding her thoughtfully. "So, Alex tells me you're a graphic designer?" "I am. I own a small studio downtown Parker Designs. We specialize in branding and identity work." "Impressive. How long have you been in business?" "Just over 3 years on my own. Before that, I was at a larger agency for 5 years. Hunter nodded. "Taking that leap from employee to owner isn't easy. I respect that." "Thanks," Jade said, genuinely pleased by his understanding. "What about you?" Hayden mentioned shipping. Hunter's expression changed subtly, a flicker of something that might have been wariness crossed his face. "That's right, Sullivan Shipping. We handle cargo transport, primarily maritime but some overland as well." "That sounds extensive," Jade said, realizing she had no idea what to say about the shipping industry. Hunter laughed, the sound relaxing something in Jade. "It's okay. Most people's eyes glaze over when I talk about logistics and supply chains." "No, I'm interested," she insisted, surprising herself by meaning it. "How did you get into shipping?" A shadow passed over Hunter's face. "Family business, originally. My grandfather started with a single cargo ship after World War II. My father expanded internationally. I took over about 8 years ago and..." He trailed off, shrugging. "Now we're one of the largest private shipping companies in the country." "That's amazing," Jade said sincerely. "You must be very proud." Hunter studied her for a moment, as if trying to determine if she was being genuine. Whatever he saw in her expression must have satisfied him, because his posture relaxed. "I am, though it's a far cry from creating beautiful things like you do." "I don't know about that," Jade replied. "Moving goods around the world, connecting markets, that's pretty creative in its own way." Hunter's eyes widened slightly and a slow smile spread across his face. That's exactly how I see it. Most people just think it's about boats and containers. Well, most people lack imagination, Jade said with a shrug. Hunter's smile deepened, transforming his already handsome face into something that made Jade's heart skip a beat. You're not what I expected, Jade Parker. Is that good or bad? Definitely good, he said, his voice dropping slightly. The moment was interrupted by Alex appearing in the kitchen doorway. Hunter, man, we're heading out. You ready? Hunter's eyes never left Jade's. Actually, I think I'll stay a bit longer. Help Hayden clean up. Alex's eyebrows shot up and he glanced between Hunter and Jade with a growing smirk. Sure thing. Jade, it was great seeing you outside the office. You too, Alex, she said, feeling her cheeks warm under his knowing look. After Alex and Mia left, followed shortly by Ethan and Sophia, Jade found herself helping Hunter and Hayden tidy up the apartment. As they worked, she noticed Hunter moving closer to her, finding small reasons to be in her space, reaching past her for a glass, asking her to hand him something just out of his reach. When Hayden disappeared to take a phone call, Hunter turned to Jade, wiping his hands on a dish towel. So I have to ask, how do you know Hayden well enough to get invited to game night, but we've never met before? Alex has been my best friend for over a decade. I don't know Hayden at all, actually, Jade admitted. I've been working with Alex on rebranding his company. We met briefly at some charity event, but tonight's the first time I've really talked to him. The invitation was a complete surprise. Hunter's brow furrowed. So why did you come? Jade shrugged, suddenly feeling self-conscious. Honestly, I've been working non-stop for months. Alex mentioned to Hayden that I needed to get out more, apparently, and he was right. So when the invitation came, I just said yes. I'm glad you did, Hunter said quietly. The intensity in his gaze made Jade's breath catch. She was saved from having to respond by Hayden's return. Sorry about that, Hayden said, pocketing his phone. Business never sleeps, even on weekends. Speaking of which, Jade said, glancing at her watch, it's getting late, I should probably head out. I'll walk you out, Hunter offered immediately. Hayden glanced between them, a knowing smile playing at his lips. Thanks for coming, Jade. Don't be a stranger. After saying her goodbyes to Hayden, Jade found herself in the elevator with Hunter, acutely aware of his presence beside her. Do you have a car? He asked. No, I was going to get a rideshare. Let me drive you home, Hunter said, then quickly added, if you're comfortable with that. Jade hesitated. She just met this man, but there was something about him that felt trustworthy. Plus, he was Alex's best friend, not some random stranger. That would be nice, thank you. Outside, Hunter led her to a sleek black Range Rover parked at the curb. He opened the passenger door for her, a gesture that felt both old-fashioned and charming. Once they were both settled in the car, Hunter turned to her. Where to? Jade gave him her address, which was in a decidedly less upscale neighborhood than Hayden's. If Hunter had any thoughts about it, he didn't show them. As they drove through the late-night city streets, a comfortable silence settled between them. Jade found herself stealing glances at Hunter's profile, the strong line of his jaw, the slight furrow of concentration between his brows as he navigated a turn. So, she said finally, how does someone with a shipping empire find time for game nights? Hunter chuckled. You make time for what matters. Friends, fun, they're important. He paused, then added more quietly, balance is something I've had to learn the hard way. What do you mean? Hunter was quiet for a moment and Jade wondered if she'd overstepped. Then he sighed. 3 years ago, I was working 18-hour days, 7 days a week, expanding the company, opening new shipping lanes, negotiating deals. I thought I was invincible until I collapsed in the middle of a board meeting. Oh my God, Jade gasped. What happened? Exhaustion, dehydration, stress, take your pick. Spent 2 days in the hospital. My doctor said if I didn't change, the next time might be a heart attack. He shook his head. I was 32. That must have been terrifying, Jade said softly. It was a wake-up call, Hunter admitted. I hired more executives, delegated more, started taking actual weekends off. Game nights with friends became non-negotiable. He glanced at her. What about you? Alex mentioned you've been working too hard, Jade smiled ruefully. Occupational hazard of running your own business, I guess. Clients always need things yesterday, and when you're small, it's hard to turn down work. I understand that, Hunter said. The early days of any business are brutal, but take it from someone who learned the hard way your business can't thrive if you burn out. Wise words, Jade acknowledged. I'll try to remember that. All too soon, they arrived at her apartment building. Hunter parked and, to her surprise, came around to open her door. As she stepped out, their bodies came close enough that she could smell his cologne, something woodsy and subtle. "Thank you for the ride," she said, suddenly feeling shy. "Thank you for making game night unexpectedly interesting," he replied with a smile. They stood there for a moment, the night air cool around them, a tension building that Jade wasn't sure how to break. Finally, Hunter spoke. "I'd like to see you again, Jade, not at game night, just the two of us." Her heart fluttered. "I'd like that too." "How's Tuesday? Dinner?" Jade mentally ran through her schedule. She had a client meeting that afternoon, but it should be done by 6. Tuesday works. Hunter's smile was like the sun breaking through clouds. "Great. Can I get your number?" After exchanging numbers, there was another moment of tension-filled silence. Hunter took a half step closer and Jade found herself holding her breath. Was he going to kiss her? Instead, he reached out and gently squeezed her hand. "Good night, Jade. I'm looking forward to Tuesday." "Me too," she said, oddly touched by his restraint. "Good night, Hunter." As she watched him drive away, Jade couldn't stop smiling. What had started as an unexpected invitation to game night had somehow turned into the promise of something more. Something that made her heart race with anticipation. Monday dragged interminably. Jade found herself checking her phone more often than usual, though she knew it was silly to expect Hunter to text before their scheduled date. She had 3 client meetings, a website launch to oversee, and a pile of emails to answer, but her mind kept wandering to amber eyes and a deep laugh. By Tuesday morning, she was a bundle of nerves. She hadn't been on a proper date in over a year, having thrown herself into growing her business instead. What if she'd built Hunter up in her mind? What if, away from the fun atmosphere of game night, they had nothing to talk about? At 10 a.m., her phone pinged with a text from Hunter. "Looking forward to tonight. I'll pick you up at 7. Wear something comfortable for walking. No fancy restaurant, promise." The message made her smile and calmed her nerves somewhat. At least he wasn't planning some intimidating high-end dinner where she'd have to worry about using the wrong fork. By 6:45, Jade was ready, dressed in a casual but pretty floral dress with a light cardigan and comfortable ankle boots. She'd kept her makeup minimal and left her dark hair loose around her shoulders. As she gave herself a final once-over in the mirror, her phone rang. "I'm downstairs," Hunter said when she answered. "No rush." When she stepped outside, she found him leaning against his car, looking devastatingly handsome in dark jeans and a charcoal gray Henley that emphasized his broad shoulders. He straightened when he saw her, his eyes warming as they took her in. "You look beautiful," he said simply. "Thank you," she replied, feeling a blush creep up her neck. "You look nice too." The evening Hunter had planned surprised her. Rather than an expensive restaurant, he took her to a food truck festival in a riverside park. They strolled from truck to truck, sampling everything from Korean tacos to gourmet grilled cheese, talking and laughing as the sun set over the water. "This is perfect," Jade said as they sat on a bench, sharing a plate of mini donuts. "How did you know about this place?" "I own the shipping terminals downriver," Hunter said with a shrug. "I like to keep up with what's happening in the area. Plus," he added with a grin, "I have a weakness for food trucks. Best way to try new cuisines without the fuss of formal dining." "A billionaire shipping magnate who prefers street food," Jade mused. "You're full of surprises, Hunter Sullivan." He winced slightly at the word billionaire, and Jade immediately regretted saying it. "Does it bother you?" he asked quietly. "The money thing." Jade considered her answer carefully. "Not in the way you might think. It doesn't intimidate me or make me see you differently, but I do worry that we live in very different worlds." Hunter nodded, his expression thoughtful. Fair enough, but you should know this is my real world. He gestured around them at the park, the people, the simple pleasure of food and conversation. The boardrooms, the business deals, the fancy houses, they're just the trappings. This, right here, this is what I value. As he spoke, his hand found hers on the bench between them, his fingers lacing through hers naturally, as if they'd done it 100 times before. The touch sent warmth spiraling through Jade's body. I believe you, she said softly. They walked along the river after that, still holding hands, talking about everything and nothing, childhood memories, favorite books, dream vacations. As the evening grew cooler, Hunter slipped his arm around her shoulders and she leaned into his warmth, marveling at how comfortable she already felt with him. When he finally drove her home, the car ride was filled with a different kind of tension, anticipation humming between them like an electric current. This time, when they reached her building, Hunter walked her all the way to her door. I had a wonderful time, Jade said, keys in hand, suddenly shy again. So did I, Hunter replied, his voice low. He took a step closer and Jade's breath caught. I'd like to kiss you, Jade, if that's okay. Instead of answering, Jade rose on her tiptoes and pressed her lips to his. Hunter responded immediately, his arms coming around her waist to pull her closer. The kiss was gentle at first, exploratory, but quickly deepened as Jade's hands found their way to his shoulders. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, Hunter rested his forehead against hers. I've been wanting to do that since the moment you played that draw 4 card against me, he admitted with a soft laugh. Jade smiled up at him. That's oddly specific, but I'm not complaining. He kissed her once more, briefly but tenderly, before stepping back. I should go. But I'd like to see you again, soon. I'd like that too. In the weeks that followed, Jade and Hunter fell into each other's lives as if they'd been waiting for each other all along. Their third date was a sailing trip on Hunter's small yacht, where he taught her the basics of navigation, and they watched the sunset from the water. Their fifth date was at Jade's apartment, where she cooked dinner, and they ended up talking until 3 in the morning, curled together on her sofa. A month into their relationship, Hunter invited Jade to his home, for the first time a penthouse apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor. Despite its obvious luxury, the space felt lived in and personal, with books scattered everywhere, framed maps on the walls, and a collection of model ships that Hunter admitted with endearing embarrassment he'd been building since childhood. So this is the lair of the shipping titan, Jade teased, running her finger along the spine of a well-worn copy of Moby Dick on his bookshelf. Hunter came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Disappointed there's no gold-plated furniture or pet tigers. Jade turned in his arms, looping her hands behind his neck. The opposite, actually, it's very you. Is that a good thing? The best thing, she assured him, rising on her toes to kiss him. That night, they made love for the first time, Hunter's hands and mouth mapping her body with the same attention to detail he brought to everything that mattered to him. Afterward, as they lay tangled in his sheets, Jade felt a contentment she hadn't known was possible. What are you thinking? Hunter murmured, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her bare shoulder. That I never expected any of this, she admitted. When I got that text from Hayden about game night, I almost didn't go. Hunter pulled her closer. I'm very glad you did, though I should probably confess something. Jade propped herself up on her elbow to look at him. What? That invitation wasn't entirely random, Hunter said, looking slightly sheepish. I saw some of your design work for Alex's company when I was at his office. I asked about you. He mentioned you worked all the time and hadn't dated anyone in ages. Alex told you that? Jade asked, surprised. Hunter nodded. I might have suggested to Hayden that he invite you to game night, and I might have made sure I was available that night. Hunter Sullivan, Jade gasped, playfully hitting his chest. You orchestrated the whole thing, not the whole thing, he defended himself, catching her hand and bringing it to his lips. Just the introduction. Everything after that was real, I just wanted a chance to meet you. Jade shook her head in amazement. So you're telling me a billionaire shipping magnate engineered a chance meeting with a small-time graphic designer? Hunter's expression turned serious. I'm telling you that a man who has everything money can buy saw something beautiful and genuine and wanted to know if it was real. He cupped her cheek. And it was, you are. How could she be angry in the face of such sincerity? Instead, Jade kissed him, pouring all her feelings into it. That's either the most romantic or most stalker-ish thing I've ever heard, she teased when they broke apart. Let's go with romantic, Hunter suggested with a grin. It sounds better. 6 months later, Jade's business was thriving, partly due to a major contract with Sullivan Shipping to redesign their entire brand identity, a project Hunter had insisted go through a proper bidding process, which Jade had won on merit. She'd hired 2 more designers and moved into a larger studio space. Her personal life was flourishing as well. She and Hunter had settled into a relationship that felt both exciting and comfortable. They still attended Hayden's monthly game nights, where they were now banned from being on the same team after too many consecutive victories. One evening, as they walked along the same riverside park where they'd had their first date, Hunter seemed unusually quiet. Everything okay? Jade asked, squeezing his hand. Better than okay, he replied, leading her to a bench overlooking the water. As they sat, he turned to face her. Jade, these past months have been the happiest of my life. Her heart began to race. Mine too. Before I met you, I thought I had my life figured out. Work hard, build the business, make time for friends occasionally, that was my balance. But now I understand there was a huge piece missing. He took both her hands in his. You've shown me what real balance looks like. What real happiness feels like. Tears pricked at Jade's eyes as Hunter reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. I had a whole speech planned, he said with a nervous laugh. But now that we're here, all I really want to say is that I love you, Jade Parker. More than I thought it was possible to love another person, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. He opened the box, revealing a stunning emerald ring surrounded by small diamonds. Will you marry me? Jade could barely see the ring through her tears, but she nodded vigorously. Yes. Yes, of course, yes. Hunter slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that was salt-sweet with both their tears. When they finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers, his amber eyes bright with joy. I can't believe a game of Uno led to this, Jade said with a watery laugh. I told you I don't believe in luck, Hunter reminded her, kissing her again. Just preparation and opportunity, and I was prepared to love you from the moment I saw you. 1 year later, they were married in a small ceremony on Hunter's yacht, with Hayden serving as best man. As they exchanged vows with the open water as their backdrop, Jade couldn't help but think how one unexpected invitation had changed everything. At the reception, Hayden clinked his glass for a toast. To Hunter and Jade, proof that my game nights are actually excellent matchmaking opportunities. Who knew? As everyone laughed, he continued more seriously. But really, to 2 people who remind us all that the best games are the ones where everybody wins. Later, as she and Hunter swayed together for their first dance under the stars, Jade whispered, "Thank you for rigging game night." Hunter's arms tightened around her. Best strategic move of my life. Even better than expanding into the Asian shipping markets, she teased. Infinitely better, he assured her, dipping his head to kiss her. Some winnings are measured in billions, but the really important ones, those are measured in moments like this. As the yacht sailed into the sunset, Jade and Hunter held each other close, both knowing that of all the games they might play in life, love was the only one where winning together was all that truly mattered.